So Max Gene Nohl was an early diver and inventor from Milwaukee. And what's surprising to a lot of people is that here in Wisconsin, he invented scuba diving. So my name is Tamara Thomsen, and I'm a maritime archaeologist with Wisconsin Historical Society. So my primary role here is to investigate shipwrecks that are on the bottom of Lake Michigan, Lake Superior, and any of the inland waterways in Wisconsin. But we don't work just on shipwrecks. We work on any submerged cultural sites that are around the state. So Max Gene Nohl was an early diver and inventor from Milwaukee. What's surprising to a lot of people is that here in Wisconsin, he invented scuba diving. And he started a company called DESCO, the diving equipment and salvage company. And that company is actually still in business today. But he also had a number of other companies. We know of at least 13 companies. One made filmmaking materials, one made submersible equipment, one made underwater habitats, and then he had a salvage company that was used for raising shipwrecks. So he's a very interesting person, early in diving, but to me, again, he's this innovator. He was driving the sport of scuba diving forward in all of these different aspects. And I find it interesting as a diver to see what I do on a daily basis and look back and see how Nohl had his fingers in this process, because it's pretty amazing. You know, the dive tables that we use, he was involved in establishing those. And again, manipulating them to be something more functional. The gases that we use for deep diving, and the physiology, the understanding of the human body and how it processed those gases in scuba diving, he was involved with. Filmmaking. So again, I shoot shipwrecks on a daily basis in my job when I'm in the field. And again, these filming techniques he developed, and I'm still using them today. I think Max Gene Nohl's greatest contribution was in mixed gas diving. So, and he did this in partnership with a physiologist out of Milwaukee named Dr. Edgar N. And their work was really, I believe, the start to helium oxygen diving and its use, its regular use. And this is something that we use in our work today. They developed the oxygen table, the timetables for coming up from the bottom. And they were able to utilize this during a deep record diving attempt to 420 feet in Lake Michigan in December 1937. And again, these tables and the understanding of the timetables and the mixtures of gases are very important to the evolution to get to a point to what I do today. So I had a friend who was doing research over at Milwaukee Public Library on a shipwreck. He's a diver out of the Chicago area named Joe Rojas. And Joe encountered the chapter when he was looking up information on a shipwreck called the Westmoreland. And he made a copy of it and he sent this chapter to me and he said, "This is the Nohl manuscript, you're not going to believe this." And I read it and I wanted more. And I said, "Is there more to this?" And he said, "No, there wasn't. It was just this one chapter and he was in the process of writing this book and that was all there was." Well, we ended up asking the local history collection over at Milwaukee Public Library if they had more. And it turned out the entire manuscript was there, about 800 pages, which is not the book today, but it was the basis of what we have now. And I read it all. And some of the chapters were repetitive. And again, working with the professional editors here at Wisconsin Historical Society Press, it's down to this very consumable book that's available for people to read. So pretty exciting. From my end, the hardest part of the bookmaking process was letting go of some of the unnecessary material. It might have not seemed, it didn't seem unnecessary to me. I wanted to hear and consume as much in Nohl's voice as possible, because this is the only chance that we're going to get to hear his story in his voice. But there were chapters that had to be let go. One about teaching his wife how to dive that didn't make the book. And to me, it felt devastating to let that go. But again, the professional editors here made me believe that we wanted to keep the story true. We didn't want to lose people in the reading of it. And so some of those things had to leave. The most rewarding part of the bookmaking process is getting to do the stuff at the end here and have everyone discover that the epicenter for North American diving is here in Wisconsin. This is where scuba diving was invented. This is where tanks were made at pressed steel. This is where modern scuba diving equipment was developed. And from here, it spread to the coasts and everywhere else. Max Gene Nohl is every diver in Wisconsin. You have a passion for going underwater, you want to see things, and then you're told you have to go to the ocean environment to be successful. And you don't. There's so much to see here in Wisconsin, and there's so much more innovation to diving that can be done. He had a cast of characters that he was surrounding himself with. He and his friends were on the cutting edge of invention. If they found a need to do something underwater, they found a way to do it. And this is something that is possible right here in Wisconsin. My favorite part of the book is the artwork. So this is original artwork, that pencil and ink drawings that Max created for the book to accompany the chapters. And they're so whimsical. And every time you turn a page and there's one of these little caricatures that's drawn in there, oh, it's just a treat. Buy the book.